Why in the F is that security guard all up on Sophie Cunningham? And look, I think there is a reason she got up in Sophie's face, and I don't think there was any need to sort of bow up to Sophie like that.
The Indiana Fever finally earned a playoff moment worth celebrating, but somehow the WNBA managed to turn it into drama. Sophie Cunningham, wearing a leg brace, was simply celebrating with her teammates after their big win when a league security guard suddenly barked at her mid-cheer. Fans were furious. Now the question is, does the WNBA intentionally single out Sophie because she doesn't fit the narrative they want? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The stage was electric. The Indiana Fever had just secured one of their biggest playoff wins in years, all without Caitlin Clark, who's been sidelined. The crowd erupted, the players celebrated, and on the bench, Sophie Cunningham, recovering from her own injury, cheered them on. No drama, no controversy, just a teammate in street clothes clapping for her squad and soaking in the moment of triumph.
Odyssey Sims hit the floor very hard during the game last night, and her teammates came out to the floor to check on her, except, of course, the girls on the bench, Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby, Sophie Cunningham, they came to half court. Did not cross the line, by the way. But for whatever reason, we had a situation involving Paula Blart, mall cop, that's right, played this time in the role by Wheezy from Jefferson. The Jeffersons, showed up last night to try to check Sophie Cunningham. Did she think Sophie Cunningham was about to run out there and cause an incident? Sophie Cunningham's in a damn leg contraption. It's not even a brace, it's like a contraption.
But somehow, that was enough to trigger the WNBA's very own Rent-A-Cop moment. Out of nowhere, league security walked up and confronted Sophie like she had stormed the court or sparked chaos. Let's be clear, she wasn't near the scorer's table, let alone stepping onto the floor. She was at half court, cheering for her team, breaking no rules. Yet, in typical WNBA fashion, the focus shifted from the Fever's victory to the awkward optics of unnecessary confrontation.
Odyssey was holding her right shoulder.
Sophie's face said it all. First confusion, then disbelief, and finally that signature Cunningham glare. And honestly, who could blame her? She was in a leg brace, clearly not about to rush the floor, yet instead of handling it calmly, security got aggressive, leaning in and barking at her like she was causing chaos. The moment instantly went viral, not because Sophie crossed any line, but because it highlighted the strange double standard that seems to shadow her throughout her career, no matter what she does. Fans were furious, and social media blew up within minutes. Instead of celebrating the Fever's big win or Lexi Hall's clutch performance, the conversation shifted to Sophie Cunningham, an injured player simply cheering, being treated like a criminal. The outrage was swift and honestly justified. Because here's the truth, this isn't a one-off. It's part of a pattern. Just look at how Sophie's been portrayed compared to others. Outspoken, confident, and unapologetically herself, yet constantly under harsher scrutiny.
And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
Sophie Cunningham has never been the type to blend into the background. She's fiery, outspoken, and one of the few players in the WNBA willing to challenge the league's polished, approved narratives. And because of that, she's been a target by certain media outlets, by rival fan bases, and now apparently by the league itself. It's no secret that Sophie has carried the villain label for years. Some love her for it, others can't stand her, but everyone pays attention. That's why what happened during the Fever's playoff celebration felt like crossing a line. The Fever had just clinched a massive win, advancing to the semifinals. On the sidelines, the injured players, Caitlin Clark, Chloe Beebe, and Sophie Cunningham, were standing near mid-court, celebrating like every team does when the moment gets big. None of them were storming the floor. None of them were interfering with the game. Just clapping, cheering, showing support. And yet, out of nowhere, a league security officer made a beeline. Not for Caitlin, not for Chloe, just Sophie. Fans noticed immediately. Comment sections across Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram lit up. Why only Sophie? Why the confrontation? Why was she singled out while Caitlin and Chloe, standing in the same place, doing the same thing, were ignored? Some fans were blunt about it. Sophie gets targeted because she's white, blonde, and doesn't fit the league's preferred storylines. Others called out the hypocrisy, pointing out that if it had been Angel Reese or Natasha Cloud in that spot, the league would have spun the moment as passion and support. With Sophie, the framing is always different. She's entitled, extra, out of control. The irony? Sophie didn't even react poorly. She didn't escalate the situation, didn't scream back, didn't make it messy. She stood her ground, stayed composed, and made it clear she wouldn't be intimidated. But the whole confrontation was unnecessary. The cop wasn't maintaining order. She was creating a scene. And fans exploded with frustration because they knew what they were seeing wasn't about rules. It was about targeting. And here's the thing. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a larger, ongoing problem in the WNBA. How the league handles players who don't fit its preferred mold. Caitlin Clark has been dealing with this for 2 seasons now. Hard fouls ignored, excessive physicality waved off, narratives spun to downplay her impact. Sophie, long labeled as polarizing, gets caught in the same web. Instead of embracing her popularity, the WNBA seems determined to tear her down. And make no mistake, Sophie Cunningham is popular. Numbers don't lie. She trends constantly. Her highlights get clicks. Her name boosts the Fever's profile even when she's not playing. Fans care about her. And in a league desperate for attention and growth, that should matter. But instead of leveraging it, the WNBA allowed a playoff celebration to turn into a PR nightmare where Sophie was publicly embarrassed by a cop. The fan reaction was brutal. Within minutes, hashtags like #FreeSophie and #WNBExposed were trending. Fans blasted the league for selective enforcement and accused them of trying to silence personalities who don't fall in line. Some compared it to past controversies, like when Angel Reese's boos were blamed on racism, or when Caitlin Clark's hard fouls were shrugged off as part of the game. The comments weren't kind, and honestly, they shouldn't have been. The security guard was called everything from a power-hungry mall cop to the league's latest clown show. Harsh? Maybe. But it reflects how fed up fans are. They tune in to celebrate basketball, not to watch officials create drama out of nothing. And that's the bigger issue here. The WNBA loves to talk about growth, ratings, and how it's finally being taken seriously. But every time the league has a spotlight moment, something like this happens. Instead of letting the Fevers win shine, the story became Sophie Cunningham being shouted at for cheering in a leg brace. That's not just bad optics, it's self-sabotage. Fans don't want to see players treated like criminals for clapping. They don't want to see double standards. They don't want to be gaslit into thinking everything's fine when their eyes tell them otherwise. And here's the kicker. This wasn't chaos, wasn't a brawl, wasn't heated drama. It was celebration. Pure, wholesome playoff joy. If the WNBA can't even let players enjoy that without turning it into a controversy, how do they expect to convince casual fans to care about the product? Once fans dug deeper, things got worse for the league. Clips surfaced showing Caitlin and Chloe cheering right beside Sophie, smiling, clapping, same spot, same moment. Yet neither was confronted. No cop in their face, no barking orders. Just Sophie. At that point, fans pieced together what was obvious. This wasn't about rules. It was about sending a message, and that's where the league looks foolish. Sophie Cunningham isn't just another player. She's bold, unfiltered, unafraid to challenge authority. She's not Paige Buchers, the media darling. She's not Angel Reese, the league-approved star. She doesn't sugarcoat things, and that makes her polarizing. But it also makes her magnetic. People love her or hate her, but they tune in either way. And in a league starving for eyeballs, that's invaluable. Yet instead of embracing that, the WNBA goes out of its way to diminish her. Look at the marketing. How often do you see Sophie in promos compared to players with half her relevance? Rarely. Look at the coverage. When Sophie gets into it with a rival, she's cast as the villain. When others do the same, it's passion. The double standard is laughably transparent, and this confrontation only added fuel to the fire. Fans flooded timelines with one simple question. Why Sophie? Why now? Why was a player in a leg brace, barely able to jog 5 feet, suddenly treated like a security threat? None of it added up, unless you accept the uncomfortable truth. Sophie Cunningham is being targeted, and that's the WNBA's biggest problem. It's not just the uneven calls on the court or the media bias off it. It's the fact that fans see it. They connect the dots. They're not blind. They notice when the league protects some players and hangs others out to dry. Moments like this don't just hurt Sophie, they damage the league's credibility. For casual fans tuning in because of Caitlin Clark or because the Fever are suddenly relevant, this isn't professionalism, it's pettiness. It's a league more interested in controlling narratives than letting basketball shine. The fallout? Ugly. Calls for accountability. Fans roasting the league's leadership. And Sophie, once again, at the center of controversy she didn't create. Her only crime? Cheering for her team. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how the WNBA treats players who don't fit the mold, nothing will. Look at the WNBA's marketing. How often do you see Sophie Cunningham in promos compared to players with half her relevance? Almost never. And when controversies come up, the double standard is obvious. If Sophie gets into it with a rival, she's painted as the villain. If someone else does, they're celebrated as passionate and fiery. It's not just unfair, it's laughably transparent. This latest incident with the security guard only added fuel to the fire. Fans saw Sophie singled out during a playoff celebration, and they weren't buying the excuses. They flooded social media with questions. Why Sophie? Why now? Why was a leg brace player who couldn't sprint 5 feet suddenly treated as a security threat? None of it made sense, unless you accept the uncomfortable truth. Sophie Cunningham is being targeted. Now zoom out. What does this mean for the league as a whole? Because this isn't just about Sophie, it's about perception. Every incident like this chips away at the credibility of the WNBA. And fans are watching closely, especially the new wave of casual viewers drawn in by Caitlin Clark stardom. These aren't diehards who have been around for decades. These are people who already carried doubts about women's basketball, but tuned in because Clark and the Fever made it exciting. When they see Sophie Cunningham shouted at for clapping on the sideline, they don't see professionalism. They see pettiness. They see a league more interested in drama than in basketball, and perception is everything. You can boast about growth. You can point to TV ratings. You can celebrate trending hashtags. But if fans walk away thinking your league is a joke, none of it matters. And this is exactly why so many people still don't take the WNBA seriously. Not because of the players, not because of the talent, but because of the nonsense that surrounds the product. Fans let the league have it. Thousands of comments ripped into Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, blasting her leadership and calling the WNBA the most embarrassing league in professional sports. Some even demanded her resignation, arguing she had turned it into a circus act. And when your off-court controversies get more attention than your on-court product, that's not growth, that's failure. Meanwhile, Sophie handled it like a pro. She didn't lash out. She didn't escalate the moment. But she also didn't back down. Her body language said everything. You're not going to intimidate me. Fans respected that. They rallied around her, flooding her socials with support and reminding her that she has one of the strongest fan bases in the league. And if the WNBA were smart, they'd recognize that popularity isn't going away. Every time Sophie's targeted, her base only grows stronger. Every time she's disrespected, her supporters double down. But let's be honest, the league hasn't exactly built a reputation for being smart when it comes to handling players. Just look at Caitlin Clark. 2 seasons of being hammered on the court, fouled harder than anyone else, yet barely protected by referees. Or Lexi Hull, who stepped up huge in the playoffs, but got almost no mention from league media. And now Sophie, singled out, shouted at, treated like a criminal for cheering that it's a pattern, and fans are connecting the dots. The WNBA wants to sell the story that it's growing because of everyone. But the truth is obvious. The league is growing because of a handful of players who actually move the needle. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and yes, Sophie Cunningham. The rest of the league benefits from those names, whether they admit it or not. Yet instead of supporting all of them equally, the league plays favorites and punishes the others. That's a dangerous, short-sighted strategy. Because fans aren't stupid. They see the double standards. They see the hypocrisy. And eventually, they'll tune out. They'll stop supporting a league that treats its stars like enemies. And when that happens, no TV deals or sponsorships will save them. The Fever's playoff run should have been a celebration. A chance to spotlight Lexi Hull's heroics, Aaliyah Boston's dominance, and the team's resilience without Caitlin Clark. Instead, the headline became a security guard barking at Sophie Cunningham. Not only is that embarrassing, it's self-destructive that at the end of the day, Sophie's only crime was caring about her team. She was cheering in a leg brace, and for that she got confronted like a threat. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how the WNBA treats players who don't fit their mold, nothing will. And here's the part the league can't ignore. Fans aren't letting this go. The outrage isn't fading, it's growing. Every tweet, every clip, every meme adds to the pile of frustration. The WNBA can spin it however they want, but the people have already made up their minds. Sophie Cunningham was wronged, and once again, the league looks petty. So here we are, another night when the story isn't the Fever's win, but the WNBA's nonsense. Fans are furious. Sophie stood her ground, and the league embarrassed itself yet again. What do you think? Was this really about enforcing rules, or was Sophie targeted on purpose? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more No Filter Sports.